Welcome to Piece of Work, the podcast. I'm Danielle Tantone. I'm a nurse, a writer, a speaker, a coach, and creator of the 5R Resilience Method. I've spent the last couple of decades raising kids, surviving breast cancer and divorce, working in healthcare, and rebuilding a life that feels honest and aligned. I've also written a memoir called Piece of Work, launched this podcast, and started sharing my own messy journey toward resilience, healing, and wholeness. Piece of Work is where we talk about what it means to bounce back, show up, and keep going even when life gets complicated. It's about real life, not the highlight reel. Whether you're here for the tools, the stories, or just someone to walk alongside you, I'm glad you're here. So today, I thought I'd do something a little different. As you know, if you've been following along on this journey, I came back to this podcast a couple months ago after taking a break, a couple of years break. I decided to start back at it, and I've been talking about different aspects, mostly having to do with resilience, because that's kind of the buzzword of my life right now. And talked about different things over the last few weeks. But this week, I thought, why not actually share what I'm writing about in my book called Resilient? At least at this point, it's called Resilient. As I know from writing my first book, it may change between now and the time it's actually published, hopefully later this year. But I thought I'd just read and kind of discuss what I've been writing about. So at this point, the book is called Resilient: The Method, the Madness, and the Magic of Rising Stronger. Introduction. Resilience isn't a superpower, it's a practice. The Arizona sun filtered through the playground sail shade as my 3-year-old daughter Gracie swung beside me. Now, first of all, my daughter is actually not named Gracie. This scene you may recognize if you read my first book. I changed all the names of my daughters in that book, and I'm going to stick with that going forward, mostly to protect their privacy, but also just kind of for fun. So anyway, it was one of those perfect early fall afternoons, the kind that made me forget the stress of night shifts at the hospital, nursing school deadlines, a difficult marriage, and the endless chaos of raising 3 kids. For just a moment, I let myself breathe. Then my phone rang, a local number. I knew before I answered. Danielle, it's Dr. Tanaka. And just like that, everything changed, even though actually nothing did. Breast cancer. It had already been there. Now I just knew it was. I glanced over at Gracie, still gleefully gliding down the slide, completely unaware that I had just received the kind of news that knocks the breath out of you. But I didn't feel breathless. I wasn't afraid. What I remember most about that moment is a feeling of absolute clarity, surrender, knowing, and understanding. You've got this, I heard my own voice whisper. I had the grit, the tools, the team, and the spirit to take the next right step. I was not alone. I jumped into action and chose resilience. Not because I'm extraordinary, not because I had some superhuman ability to stay strong, but because I had learned to be resilient long before that phone call. And just like we learn patience through its testing, we only learn resilience through the things that try to break us. And if you read that book, you know all about the whole drama and saga of my life up until that point. Mostly things of my own making. So when I came to that point, I had come through a lot already. What I want you to know about resilience. Maybe you're here because life has just handed you one of those moments. The kind that splits everything into before and after. A diagnosis, a divorce you didn't see coming, a career shift that knocked you off course, a child struggling with addiction, a loss that feels impossible to process. Or maybe you're about to push out a baby and you're scared about the pain. Maybe you just had one and you feel unqualified, disorganized, scattered, and emotional. No one told you breastfeeding would be this hard. You love this baby, but you're also grieving parts of yourself you didn't expect to lose. Maybe it's just the weight of it all, the everyday exhaustion of holding everything together, wondering when life will finally feel easier. Maybe it's a creeping dread about the divided world we live in and what kind of legacy we're leaving our children. Or maybe your kid just spilled a smoothie on the dog and you're trying not to lose it. We're all navigating impossible things, big and small, and still trying to enjoy life while we wade through it. Here's the truth no one tells you about resilience. It's not about being unshakable. It's about knowing how to reset when life shakes you. For years, I thought resilience was something you either had or you didn't. I believed strong people simply handled things better, while the rest of us just had to survive the best we could. I thought emotions were just automatic, uncontrollable. I was wrong. Resilience isn't a personality trait, it's a practice. It's a set of skills you can learn, strengthen, and apply when life gets messy. And spoiler alert, it is going to get messy. Some days the messes will be easily cleaned up, and some days you'll feel like you've just been dumped on the top of a heap at the local junkyard. The messes include the hard conversations, the prickly coworkers, the rambunctious toddlers, and the argumentative teenagers. The career challenges, the financial catastrophes, the health scares, the relationship roller coasters. Over time, through my own experiences with loss, change, and unexpected challenges, I developed a simple, repeatable process for bouncing back, one that has helped not just me, but countless others I've coached through their hardships. I'll tell you all about it and show you how to apply it to your own life. But first, what even is resilience? Resilience is commonly defined as the ability to bounce back from adversity, to adapt, recover, and keep going when life stretches us or strains us. Whether it's the Oxford Dictionary's idea of springing back into shape or the APA's take on adapting well to stress and trauma, the core is the same. It's about flexibility, not force. I love the word because it implies strength through softness, the way our bodies and our spirits need to bend so they don't break. Life will knock you down. Resilience is how you rise again with clarity, courage, and grace. And why a whole book about this one trait or skill? I believe resilience is the single most important skill we can develop if we want to live a meaningful, grounded, joy-filled life. Because life will knock us down, not once, but over and over again. And it's not just about getting back up. It's about how we get back up. It's about how we choose to move forward with softness, flexibility, humility, and strength. In a world that often feels rigid, reactive, and divided, resilience is almost an unpopular opinion. Everywhere we look, we're told to dig in, take a stand, cut people out, enforce boundaries like battle lines. And sure, boundaries matter, but so does flexibility. So does grace. So does our ability to stay soft without falling apart. True resilience isn't just about enduring what life throws at you. It's about how you respond to it. It's not weakness to bend, it's wisdom, it's strength in motion. Where we're headed. This book isn't just a guide, it's a journey. And like most real journeys, it doesn't follow a straight line. It bends and circles, climbs and dips, and sometimes takes us somewhere we didn't expect to go, but maybe needed to. To help you travel with intention, I've structured the book into 3 parts. Part 1, the method. In this section, I'll introduce you to the 5R resilience method, a sacred practical tool you can use anytime life throws you off center. Whether you're navigating grief, burnout, or just a rough morning, this 5-step process can help you reset and rise one moment at a time. Part 2, the madness. This section is like a mini devotional of sorts. These are the gritty, soulful truths I've gathered over years of falling apart and coming back together. 100 bite-sized reflections drawn from life, faith, science, and story, meant to meet you in the mess, speak to your heart, and gently point you forward. Part 3, the magic. This is where resilience becomes real life, tracing the through line of my own journey from a life that was unraveling to one that's being rewoven with purpose, presence, and love. You'll walk with me through divorce, reconstruction after breast cancer, parenting through addiction and recovery, shifts in faith and identity, and the quiet and crazy moments in between. It's not a highlight reel, it's an honest look at what it means to live the things we've talked about, to apply the 5R method in motion, to return to the soulful truths again and again, and to find your footing in the middle of the mess. This is where the method, the madness, and the magic meet. This is resilience in motion, not just as a concept, but as a lived, evolving practice. So who am I, and why did I write this book? I'm a mom of 3, a full-time OB nurse, a one-time author, a podcaster, a divorcee, a Medicare consultant, and a life coach. That's a lot of hats. And I'll be honest, some days I feel like a fraud. Like I've failed the people I love the most. like I'm handing out wisdom to the world while struggling to reach the people closest to me, i.e., my teenage daughters. But what I've come to believe is this: you can offer wisdom even if you're still learning yourself. You can be both a work in progress and a guide, a piece of work, a work in progress, and a work of art, all at the same time. Literally the subtitle of my first book. In that book, I explored my own grappling with faith, love, infidelity, and loss. It covered a slice of time from my own life, some of the darkest chapters I've navigated, that I thought might be interesting and useful for others. In memoir, the specific informs the universal. Reading, listening, and watching others' true stories can help us grapple with our own, make us feel less alone, entertain, and enrich us. This book is less about me and more about you, with me along for the ride as a messy and imperfect guide. So if you've ever felt broken and brilliant at the same time, welcome. If you've ever poured love into others and wondered why it wasn't received, welcome. If you're still learning how to comfort yourself when others can't, welcome. You don't have to be perfect to begin again. You just have to be willing. This book is my offering. Not because I have it all figured out, but because I don't. And maybe that's where the real magic lives. This isn't a book you even need to read in order. You can flip through it, dog ear pages, come back to the same truth 100 times if you need it. More than anything, I hope this book feels like a deep breath, a soft place to land, a reminder that even in the hardest moments, there's a way forward, that you're not alone, and resilience is already alive in you. So then I will have some free resources on my website, danielletantone.com, that I'm still working on. And then I go into part 1, the method, a sacred and practical framework for responding with resilience when life knocks you down. So chapter 1, me? Resilient? I guess maybe I am. A few years ago, I was working night shift as a relatively new labor and delivery nurse. Sitting across from my friend Sierra at work, she let me vent about everything I had on my plate: navigating a divorce, breast cancer recovery and reconstruction, juggling work stress, handling the fallout of past trauma, all while trying to be a good mom, a good employee, and to grow my author and coaching business on the side. I honestly don't know how you do it, she said, shaking her head. You're probably the most resilient person I've ever met. I laughed, brushing it off. Resilient? Me? I hadn't thought of myself that way. Most days, I felt exhausted, stretched thin, inadequate, like I was constantly running on empty. But it was true that somehow, no matter how many times it all came crashing down, I always found a way to rise from the rubble, to not just stay afloat, but push forward, bounce back better, find the silver lining, and believe, truly believe, that the best was yet to come. Her comment stuck with me. It buffered me, encouraged me. I'm resilient, I thought, like a mantra, reminding me of my power on hard days. It also made me wonder, where did this resilience come from? Was it something I was born with, or was I doing something, intentionally or unintentionally, that helped me keep going? Could I somehow synthesize my process into something that could help other people? From shattered to shining. Another night, several weeks later, we were slammed, delivering baby after baby. I had just received a talking to from a supervisor, and it felt more like a blow to my belly than constructive criticism. Again, I sat at my desk in the nurse's station in the half dark, seething at first, my heart racing, mind spiraling. But gradually, I started breathing, shifting, unpacking the moment until it felt manageable. Not perfect, but regulated. You just did it. Right there, she said. Whatever just happened in your head, you went from shattered to shining in 5 minutes. How did you get there so fast? I wasn't sure. In the past, I had been described as reactive, argumentative. But after many years of experience with complicated personal relationships, difficult patients at work, and deep personal transformation, something had shifted. I had learned to control my own reactions as I navigated those of the difficult people around me. Not all the time. I still had plenty of reactive moments, especially with my own family. But most of the time, I no longer reacted with emotional outbursts. I was able, in some pretty stressful situations, to regulate my own emotions, and I was able to do it quickly. The birth of a framework. That moment, in the middle of a birth center in Scottsdale, years after the births of my own 3 daughters, marked the conception of a different kind of baby, the 5R resilience method and the 5R reset. The 5R method isn't just a theory. It's not something I pulled from a textbook or a seminar. It wasn't born in a classroom or a coaching certification. It was dreamed up and drummed down in my living room, in hard conversations, in lonely moments, in tearful prayers and whispered mantras. Just breathe. Just get through this next 5 minutes. When I sat down to create this framework, it wasn't from a mountaintop. It was from the messy middle, from quiet mornings after nights of hurt feelings, from the heart of a home that's been reshaped again and again, from a woman who has loved deeply, fallen hard, messed up badly, healed slowly, and still holds hope. It's one thing to survive a hard moment. It's another to move through it with grace, clarity, and strength. And it's something else altogether to step back and turn that instinct into a process that you can repeat and teach. But after my conversation with Sierra, and as I worked with coaching clients, I set out on a quest to do just that. Seeing a pattern emerge. I began paying attention to what happened in my body when I encountered a trigger that made me feel angry, reactive, stressed, or defeated. And then I kept watching to see what I was actually doing, instinctively, intuitively, to lift myself out of that place of chaos, conflict, or crisis. I tracked how I responded in stressful moments, how fear moved through my body, how I shifted my mindset, how I found my footing again. I realized I had been following the same pattern over and over, a process I hadn't formulated into a structure yet, even though I had described it indirectly in my writing and coaching sessions. To be honest, the basic framework almost materialized in my mind's eye, although I've been refining it for the past couple of years. It started with a mantra I had been repeating to myself over and over for years: refresh, renew, relate. Those 3 words originally came from a branding campaign for my real estate business years earlier. Tasked with creating a tagline that reflected how I wanted working with me to feel, those 3 words bubbled up to the top. I loved that they were action words. I loved that they described vibrance and connection. And I thought it was pretty cool that they all started with RE, like real estate. Later, as I evolved from a real estate agent to an author and life coach, I stuck with that tagline. So naturally, as I began to create a framework for my resilience work, I thought I would use that existing phrasing as a place to jump off. I decided to expand it into 5 Rs and name it the 5R method. That was the original title of this entire book. The actual 5 Rs went through some evolution, but what I finally arrived at was the following: refresh, renew, release, reconnect, rise. These 5 steps became more than a mental framework. They became a lifeline, a practice I could return to again and again when I felt overwhelmed, off track, or unsure of myself, and a streamlined way to help my clients do the same. I'll walk you through each one in the chapters ahead, how to use them in real time and how to apply them slowly, intentionally, over time. Ready to take your first step toward resilience? Download your free 5R Resilience Roadmap, a gentle, printable companion to help you begin or continue your own journey of bouncing back. Get it now at danielletantone.com/resilient. You will also get access to guided practices, reflection prompts, and first notice when new resources and community events become available. Now, side note here, that page is not yet created. But if you go to danielletantone.com and you sign up for my email list, you can get notified when all these resources are ready. I am still in the process and getting some help. So tech is not my greatest strength, but I'm excited that I'm kind of expanding my team. I've been working with an assistant for the last few weeks, and I have someone else I'm bringing on. So that's all very exciting. Chapter 2, the 5R Resilience Method, a framework for navigating hard things with grace. Refresh, renew, release, reconnect, rise. Whenever I found my way back to myself, after a breakdown, an argument, a hard diagnosis, or a messy conversation, I noticed I moved through the same inner rhythm. I'd catch my breath. I'd reframe what just happened. I'd let go of what wasn't mine to carry. I'd remember who I was, reconnecting my mind, body, and spirit in some tangible way, usually through movement, a walk, a workout, or simply just stepping outside. And then I'd take a small but powerful next step. I'd move forward with action, because action breathes clarity. It wasn't always clean or conscious at first. It certainly was not pretty. But over time, I realized I wasn't just surviving. I was walking myself through a process that actually helped me bounce back stronger. That process became what I now call the 5R resilience method. This is what I do when I feel myself spiraling, when my nervous system is flooded, when I feel overwhelmed, stuck, lost, angry, afraid, disconnected, or disoriented. It's not magic, it's a practice. One I've used in the middle of arguments, on the hospital floor, in moments of heartbreak, and in quiet, ordinary moments of decision making. Resilience doesn't mean pushing through the pain, ignoring emotions, or pretending everything's fine. It means having tools to process, recalibrate, and move forward with strength and clarity. It doesn't mean I always get it right, but when I follow this method, the outcome is almost always better, not just for me, but for everyone involved. This method has carried me through some of the hardest moments of my life, and I believe it can carry you too. It's not theoretical, it's not a list of affirmations, it's not just about mindset shifts or breath work. It's practical, it's a real, actionable tool to help you navigate stress, uncertainty, and change in a way that feels empowering instead of overwhelming. A repeatable pattern to help you move from chaos to clarity, from flooded to grounded, from reactive to resilient, in the moment and over time. What the 5 R's really mean. Here's a quick breakdown of what each R means in practice. Refresh. Pause, breathe, and ground yourself. This is your nervous system reset, the sacred pause, the moment you stop reacting and start reclaiming your power. This could be a cleansing breath or something longer like a nap or a shower, a restart to interrupt the chaos and ground yourself. Renew. Reframe your thoughts. What's the story you're telling yourself? What else could be true? Shift the internal narrative. This is where mindset meets compassion. Release. Let go of what you can't control and what's not yours to carry. The pain, the shame, the people-pleasing, the illusion of control, the old patterns that don't work. Reconnect. Reconnect your mind and body through movement or stillness. Return to yourself, your people, and your source. Return to what matters. Remember your values, your faith, your truth. Rise. Move forward with intention and clarity. Respond rather than react. Take aligned action from a grounded place. Bounce back better. Facing what's next from an even higher place because of this challenge now behind you. It's simple, but not shallow. It's short, but not soft. It's a practice, one you'll repeat again and again, sometimes in 5 minutes, sometimes over 5 months. A spiritual practice, too. This book is rooted in practical tools and nervous system wisdom, but also in something deeper. I believe resilience lives in the soul as much as in the brain. You'll see scripture here, sacred traditions, stories of surrender and sovereignty. I'll bring in my own evolving journey with faith, from Judaism to Christianity, to something softer and wilder and harder to name. And I'll meet you wherever you are too. If God talk isn't your thing, don't worry, I won't preach. But I will offer what I've learned, that breath can be prayer, that growth is holy, that showing up fully human is one of the most sacred things we can do. Letting go to hold on. Resilience also means holding space for change, not just in our circumstances, but in our beliefs. Over the years, I've had to untangle parts of my identity I once thought were unshakable. My faith, my values, even my understanding of right and wrong. That's not failure, it's growth. Sometimes the bravest kind of resilience is allowing yourself to evolve, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it costs you belonging in spaces that once felt like home. From theory to real life. So, while the 5R method offers a grounded, repeatable framework for responding to life's hardest moments, this book is about more than just a method. It's about how resilience takes shape in the real world, in our bodies and our belief systems, in our marriages and our breakups, in hospital rooms, and in dating apps, in motherhood, menopause, and moments of deep doubt. We'll explore what it means to bend without breaking, to evolve without losing yourself, and to rise again, maybe a little softer, a little wiser, and a little more honest each time. Why this framework works. The reason this method has been so helpful isn't just because it's easy to remember or that it sounds nice with all the R's, though let's be honest, that helps. It works because it follows the way your body and brain actually process stress and healing. First, calm your nervous system, refresh. Then, access the thinking part of your brain again, renew. Then let go of what's weighing you down, release. Then return to what's real and important, mind, body, soul, reconnect. Then take action, now from a place of grounded intention, rise. This is resilience in motion. You'll use it in big moments, diagnosis, divorce, job loss, heartbreak. And you'll use it in the tiny ones, an eye roll from your teenager, a passive-aggressive email, an anxious thought spiraling before bed. In the moment. Before we dive into applying the 5 R's across big life shifts, I'll show you how they work in the moment, in those hard, heated, messy spaces where you feel triggered and angry, broken, or defeated. Anything but resilient. I call it the 5R reset, a practical, repeatable way to shift your nervous system, reframe the moment, and respond with clarity instead of chaos. Because resilience is built in the aftermath, but it starts with right now. So take a breath. You've got this, and I've got you. Where we're going next. In the next chapter, you'll learn how this method works in real time, when everything feels like too much. That's where I'll introduce the 5R reset, basically a condensed version of the method you can use in the heat of a triggering moment. After that, we'll spend time unpacking each R in more depth, offering not just insight, but embodied practices, tools, and real-world examples. You'll learn how to use this method not just when the sky is falling, but as part of your everyday way of being. We'll also explore how resilience plays out across different areas of life: health and healing, work and purpose, relationships and parenting, faith and identity, reinvention and new beginnings. Because resilience isn't a one-size-fits-all, but the 5 R's can meet you anywhere. Start where you are. You don't need to master this method overnight. You don't need to get it perfect. You don't even need to believe it'll work for you yet. You just need to start with awareness, with breath, with one small moment of courage. Want to try the 5R resilience method for yourself? I created a free companion tool called the Resilience Roadmap, or at least I'm working on it. Go to my website, and you can sign up to get it when it comes out. Chapter 3. The 5R Reset, a sacred pause in the chaos. Jessica gripped the steering wheel tighter as she turned onto her street, willing herself not to cry. Her boss's email still burned in her mind, the subtle but unmistakable message that she wasn't enough, not responsive enough, not productive enough, not valued enough. It didn't matter that she'd stayed late 3 nights this week, that she had sacrificed sleep, that she was trying to hold everything together at work and at home. She was still failing. She exhaled slowly as she pulled into the driveway, trying to push the frustration down. But the moment she stepped inside, another wave of stress crashed over her. The house was chaos. The kids were fighting in the living room, her 10-year-old shouting something about fairness while her 6-year-old whined in protest. The smell of something burnt drifted from the kitchen. Her teenage daughter was holed up in her room again. And then there was her husband, standing in the middle of it all, arms crossed, a scowl already forming. "Nice of you to finally show up," he muttered, barely looking up from his phone. Jessica's stomach tightened. She forced herself to stay calm as she set her bag down. "Sorry, I had a long day." "Yeah, I bet you did," his voice dripped with sarcasm. "Must be nice to just clock out whenever you feel like it. Meanwhile, I've been dealing with this." He gestured toward the kids, who were all still bickering. "Maybe if you actually parented them instead of prioritizing that stupid job." Jessica barely heard the rest. Her body was already reacting. The familiar heat rose in her chest, the shame, the helplessness, the anger, all tangled together in a messy knot. She wanted to scream, to tell him that he had no idea how hard she was working, how exhausted she was, how much pressure she was under. But she knew exactly how this argument would go. She'd try to defend herself, he'd twist her words, and somehow, by the end, she'd be the villain. Or she'd shut down completely, retreating into herself like she always did. Either way, she would lose. The 5R reset, a different choice. But tonight, something shifted. She didn't lash out. She didn't shut down. Instead, she did something different. She closed her eyes for a split second and silently walked herself through the 5Rs, the simple practice she'd been trying to remember when things got hard. How the 5R reset works. This moment, when emotions are high, when your nervous system is in an overdrive, when you feel powerless, is exactly where resilience is born. Not after things calm down, not once you've had time to think. Right here, right now, in the middle of the mess. It's a real-time, in-your-body application of the 5R method. A Cliff's Notes version you can use in 5 minutes or less, again and again, whenever you need it. Later in the book, we'll explore each of the 5Rs more deeply, but here you'll see how they come alive in the heat of the moment. Here's how the 5R reset helps you in real time. Refresh. Breathe, ground, pause. Your first instinct in a stressful moment is often to react. Lash out, shut down, defend, retreat. But resilience begins with a pause. Jessica inhaled deeply, filling her lungs with air, then slowly exhaled through her nose. She focused on the sensation of her feet on the floor, the weight of her sweater, her breath moving in and out. She didn't fix anything in that moment. But she slowed everything down, and that made all the difference. Try this. Close your eyes, breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale slowly for 6, repeat twice. Feel yourself land. Renew, shift the story. Stress warps reality. Your brain fills in the blanks, often with fear, shame, or old wounds. Jessica's mind screamed, "You're failing, you're not enough." But then she caught herself. What if that isn't true? What if I'm carrying too much and doing the best I can? She didn't need to believe every thought that passed through her mind. Try this. Think of a stressful moment you faced recently. What was the story you told yourself about it? What else might be true? Release. Let go of what you can't control. Jessica couldn't control her boss's email, or her husband's tone, or the messy living room, but she could control what she held on to. She unclenched her fists. She loosened her jaw. She whispered to herself, "This isn't all mine to carry." And something inside her softened. Try this. Clench your hands into fists. Hold. Then slowly release. Let the tension go with your breath. Notice what shifts. Reconnect. Return to yourself. Instead of spiraling into self-blame or defensiveness, Jessica turned inward. She remembered her strength, her values, the version of herself she wanted to be, even here, even now. She imagined her future self looking back on this moment with pride. You stayed grounded. You didn't lose yourself. She wiggled her toes in her shoes, gently rolled her shoulders, and brought her awareness back to her body. She placed a hand over her heart and took a deep breath, grounding herself in the present. She was still here, still whole. Try this. Inhale deeply. As you exhale, ask yourself, what matters most right now? What would it look like to stay true to myself in this moment? Come back to your body. Wiggle your toes, clench and unclench your fists, touch something near you and notice the texture. Breathe into your belly, feel your feet on the ground. This is you, right here, right now. 5. Rise. Choose your next step intentionally. Jessica opened her eyes. The panic had softened. The heat in her chest had cooled. She turned to her husband. "I need a few minutes." Then, before he could argue, she walked past him and into the bedroom, closing the door softly behind her. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel powerless. She had reset, and that changed everything. Try this. What's one grounded step you can take right now, not to fix everything, but to stay connected to yourself? The physiology of calm. This practice isn't just soulful, it's scientific. When we're stressed or triggered, our sympathetic nervous system activates. That's the fight or flight response. Your body reacts like you're in danger. Heart racing, muscles tensed, breathing shallow, logic offline. But when you pause, even for just 5 minutes, you signal to your body that you're safe. You shift into the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest state. That's when clarity returns. That's when your breath deepens. That's when you can think clearly, choose intentionally, and show up as your whole self. This isn't about bypassing your pain. It's about creating a space to hold it without drowning in it. A sacred pause. In moments of stress, breath becomes prayer. Every inhale is a return to the present. Every exhale a surrender. The Hebrew word for spirit, ruach, also means breath or wind. The sacred and the simple are one. Even the act of pausing becomes holy. As the psalmist writes, "Be still and know that I am God," Psalm 46:10. The 5-hour reset isn't just a tool. It's an invitation to return to your divine center, a reminder that within every moment of overwhelm, peace is just one breath away. Sometimes a moment is all it takes. There are moments in life when everything feels like too much, too loud, too fast, too heavy, when your nervous system is frazzled and your breath feels shallow, when you're so consumed by doing, managing, surviving that you forget that you're allowed to just stop. This is your permission slip to pause. You don't need a perfect morning routine, a weekend retreat, or a 6-week sabbatical to reconnect with yourself. You need 5 minutes, maybe less. That's what the 5-hour reset offers. Not a fix, a return. Think of it as a nervous system rescue, a pattern interrupt, a shift from chaos to clarity. The power of the pause. The 5-hour reset was born from necessity. As a nurse, a mother, a woman who's been through divorce, breast cancer, grief, and reinvention, I've lived many lives inside this one, and I've learned that waiting for the right time to care for yourself means it rarely comes. The reset is the opposite of hustle. It's not about productivity. It's not even about fixing anything. It's about reclaiming a moment of peace in the middle of the storm, when you don't think you have time. Ironically, the moments you need this the most are the moments you feel like you don't have time for it. But that's when it matters most. This isn't something you do for others. You don't reset to be more efficient or get more done. You do it for you, to stay connected to your own humanity, to reclaim your own energy, to keep going without losing yourself in the process. Just 5 minutes, or even 5 seconds. The world often tells us we need to overhaul everything to feel better. But the truth is, sometimes all you can do is pause, and the pause might be the thing that saves you. The 5-hour reset isn't about changing your circumstances. It's about changing how you move through them. It's about remembering yourself in the middle of it all. When your nervous system feels hijacked, when your emotions are loud and overwhelming, when you want to cry but don't know why, this is your way back. It doesn't take much, just a pause, just a breath, just a moment. The 5-hour reset is the fast-track version of the full 5-hour method, a tool you can reach for in a moment with just one breath. But each of the 5 hours holds so much more weight when you give them time and space. In the next 5 chapters, we'll slow down. We'll explore each step more deeply, not just as a quick fix, but as a way of life, one that supports your healing, your wholeness, and your resilience from the inside out. So that's the beginning part of my book as it stands right now. Love to hear your thoughts. And I also am trying to find my closing bit right now for the podcast because I feel like that's enough. It's actually longer than I thought it would be, honestly. Thanks for spending this time with me on Piece of Work. If you're new here, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with a friend who might need it. You can learn more about me, my writing, and the upcoming Resilient book over at danielletantone.com. And you can also check out my memoir, Piece of Work, wherever books are sold. I'm still figuring this out in real time, and if you are too, you're not alone. Keep going, you've got this. And I'm so glad we're walking this road together. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Goodbye.